First and foremost, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashim Yehoshai, Ba'ashim Kakudash. Yahweh is to this world, ignorantly calls God. Yahweh Shai is to this world, ignorantly calls Jesus. Bahashim means in the name, Rakah means spirit, and Kodash means holy. And that's all in the Paleo Hebrew. I also want to give double honors to the elder bishops and apostles of Great Millstone that taught me this truth. In today's video, I wanted to go into this verse right here, posted by the brother GMS Awakening 144. And it's Matthew chapter 24 and verse 22 in the AMP translation. It says, "So be alert, give strict attention, be cautious and active in faith, for you do not know which day, whether near or far, your Lord is coming." Okay, and this is so spiritual that, I'm reading this verse at this moment because, the scriptures talk about, redeeming the times. Let's start with that. You have to redeem the times. Because the days are evil. Ephesians 5 and 16. We'll start at verse 15. It says, "See then that ye walk circumspectly, not as fools, but as wise, redeeming the time, because the days are evil." Right? So we're supposed to be moving circumspectly, right? Looking at, what's going on worldwide, what's going on, around you. And the scriptures talk about how there's a time and season for everything. Okay, now is not the time to be going across countries, traveling like that because of the danger of this whole, World War III situation. So that's an example of redeeming the times. And the one thing about, the scripture is it goes into giving strict attention, right? Because your mind has to be fully focused on the Lord, right? When you go into the parable of the sower, one of the ways that the seed was not able to come forth was because that person was distracted, right? Matthew chapter 13 and verse 22, it says, "He also that receives seed among the thorns is he that heareth the word, and the care of this world and the deceitfulness of riches choke the word, and he becometh unfruitful." Right? So you can get distracted out of the truth, putting more energy into the world than into the Lord, than into your duties. And that's something that happens very gradually. It happens little by little, right? The whole thing about a distraction is that you don't even realize you're being distracted until after the fact. So this is why, there's many scriptures that talk about, examine yourselves, self-examination. It says, "Before judgment, examine thyself, and in the day of visitation thou shalt find mercy." Right? So you got to be your biggest critic. Right? Like there's a thing that, there's a lot of people in the world that ask other people about themselves. What do you think about me? What do you see in me? When in actuality, you should know the most about yourself. Right? You should know the ins and outs about your spirit, about your flesh, about what ticks you off, about what gets you going. Okay, you should be a complete master to the point that, you're able to fix your mistakes and grow. Okay, the scripture I want is actually 2 Corinthians 13 and 5. "Examine yourselves whether ye be in the faith, prove your own selves. Know ye not your own selves how that Yahushua HaMashiach is in you, except ye be reprobates." Right, so check yourself. Check if you're actually in the right spirit, if you're actually doing what you got to do. Because it's very easy to go off the right path. That's why it talks about how broad is the way to destruction. Wide is the way. But straight, narrow is the path to salvation. Okay, the straight gate. It's a very specific way of living and thinking. So, this Matthew 24 and 22. "So be alert, give strict attention, be cautious and active in faith, for you do not know which day, whether near or far, your Lord is coming." Right? We don't know the exact moment when these prophecies are going to kick place. Right? We have a general guideline. For example, we see World War III brewing, and we know that before the nukes hit, the big nukes, that the mark of the beast has to be made mandatory. But we don't know in the exact what moment that's going to happen. That's the thing is, here it is, you could be in a different country, in a different state, and next thing you know, EMP attack. blackouts where you're not even able to go back to your own crib. You could be out and about, and next thing you know, a terrorist attack or a shooting near you. People that go to bars or concerts or major venues like that, you could be at one of those and, a T attack. A bomb gets dropped on it. Which, if you're part of the elect, Yahweh Bashim Yahushai is not going to put you in a situation like that. But, it's the point that you don't know, when these prophecies are really going to kick off. And that's why we're supposed to be, on our P's and Q's every single day. That's why it talks about how you have to endure. You have to seek the Lord daily. Let's see if I can find that scripture. Right, it says in Isaiah chapter 55 and verse 6. Isaiah 58 and 2. Proverbs 8 and 34. Also goes in, it says, "Blessed is the man that heareth me, watching daily at my gates, waiting at the posts of my doors." Right, constantly going after the Lord daily. Not one day you're in and one week you're off, and you're only on point at camp, and the rest of the week you're a nigga. It's every single day you doing what you have to do. You moving correctly. Isaiah 58 and verse 2. "Yet they seek me daily and delight to know my ways, as a nation that did righteousness and forsook not the ordinance of their God. They ask of me the ordinance of justice. They take delight in approaching to God." And that's supposed to be the elect. That's supposed to be the elect today. Having a peace and righteousness, understanding that the laws are written for our benefit. Jeremiah 7 and 25. "Since the day that your fathers came forth out of the land of Egypt, unto this day I have even sent unto you all my servants the prophets daily, rising up early and sending them." Right, so the Lord has got his men today, the teachers, starting first and foremost, doing the work daily, non-stop. If you have this knowledge, you have the understanding, there is no reason why you should not be making videos. And if it's in your situation to start a camp, to go out there and do the work, right? Prophesy on the highways and byways as Yahweh Shai has commanded. There is no excuse. You got brothers out there in wheelchairs. You got brothers out there camps. I think it's Holland, a sign language camp. Brothers are deaf. They use sign language to prophesy. Brothers that speak Spanish. There is no excuse. So let's go into Ezekiel 33, because it likens the prophets into watchmen. Right? Ezekiel 33 and verse 7 says, "So thou, O son of man, I have set thee a watchman unto the house of Israel. Therefore thou shalt hear the word at my mouth and warn them from me." And a watchman doesn't have a break. A watchman is constantly on the tower, right? Looking, right? Seeing if there is danger coming. Because if he misses even just, a couple minutes or an hour, 30 minutes, the enemy could come in, when he's not watching. So nonstop. It says, "When I say unto the wicked, O wicked man, thou shalt surely die, if thou dost not speak to warn the wicked from his way, that wicked man shall die in his iniquity, but his blood will I require at thine hand. Nevertheless, if thou warn the wicked of his way to turn from it, if he do not turn from his way, he shall die in his iniquity, but thou hast delivered thy soul." Right, so we're letting you people know what's going on so that the blood is off our hands. So it's fully upon you. So one more time, right? Give strict attention and be cautious and active in faith. Right? That's why it says in Revelation 3. Where you have to be active, you have to be going. And, this walk has, its trials and tribulations. It has its ups and downs. None of us are perfect. We're all still leaving the world and leaving the old man. So, you're going to fall. But what matters is you get back up and you keep going and you keep that fire. You keep that fire to keep getting up. I believe that's the most important thing. One of the most important things is you keep the fire to keep getting up. Because if you keep falling and falling and falling, right, after a while, it gets a little discouraging, right? The flesh kicks in, you get those demons in your head telling you to give up, telling you to throw in the towel, telling you to, just demons, man, trying to make you just give up and not endure. So the opposite of that is having that fire to never give up. No matter how many shortcomings, no matter, what imperfections you have, what matters is you keep going. So Revelation chapter 3 and verse 15, it says, I know thy works, that thou art neither cold nor hot. I would thou were cold or hot. So then, because thou art lukewarm and neither cold nor hot, I will spew thee out of my mouth. Right? So the Lord knows your heart. He knows your intents. He knows if you're trying to one-up him, if you're trying to take the easy path. And he prefers you're either cold, not with him at all, fully in the world, or hot, fully on him. You can't be lukewarm. Because if you're lukewarm, he doesn't deal with that. Okay? And why are people lukewarm? Verse 17 explains it. It says, because thou sayest, I am rich, and increase with goods, and have need of nothing, and knowest not that thou art wretched, and miserable, and poor, and blind, and naked. Okay, so people that are lukewarm because they feel like they have everything that they need. Okay, they look at the Lord as, hey, what can the Lord give me? What am I going to benefit from seeking the Lord if I have all these material possessions? Not knowing that material possessions means nothing. Okay, nothing at all. Because your material possessions are not going to be able to save you from the judgment the Lord is about to bring upon the world. Okay, not your woman, not your money, not your car, none of it. Not even your doomsday bunker is going to be able to save you. Because you don't know the situations that can happen with that. What if someone ransacks it? What if everything spoils? What if it gets blown up? What if you're not even there to, access it? There's like so many variables. So the conclusion of the matter, as Solomon said, is to keep the commandments of God and fear the Most High. Right? So focus on him, because Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai, as the brother says, is on the way. Okay, be ready. Things are about to turn up. As soon as this Passover is done, things are going to pass up. The Lord is sealing his elect at this present moment. He's putting it in the minds of the elect to keep fighting, right? To not give up and to stay focused on him. So I'll leave it there. Hopefully this is edifying with that, and give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai Ba'Shem HaKakodash, and double honors to the elder bishops and apostles of Great Millstone that taught me this truth. Shalom to elect. Shalom.